this is an Atwood machine, but it's not a massless pulley. So here I have an adult and a child over a pulley, and the pulley is a disc with a mass of 2 kilograms. So it's 70 kilograms, 50 kilograms, mass of the disc is 2 kilograms, and so we want to find the acceleration. Now, there's more than one way to do this problem. That's what makes it fun. And before I do this problem, I want to do the problem of a massless pulley, just so we'll have a comparison, and it'll help us think about how we do these things, and then we can add in the rotation. So let's think about the massless pulley first. So in the case of the massless pulley, I'm going to think about Newton's second law, so we can use F net mass times acceleration. Okay, now I can draw a free body diagram for both the masses. So let's start with this mass right here. This is the lower mass one, the 50 kilograms. So we know that it's going to accelerate up. The child's going to accelerate up, the adult's going to accelerate down. So here is that mass. I know I have a gravitational force pulling down, m2g, and then there is a tension pulling up, T. So since it's the same string, which will change later, spoiler alert, this magnitude of the tension is going to be the same as the magnitude of the tension on the other one. So that's this one. Now, and this one's going to accelerate up, that one's going to accelerate down, the same magnitude of acceleration because they're tied together. If they had different accelerations, the string would have to stretch. Okay, so let's just go ahead and write Newton's second law for this mass. So in just the y direction, I'll call that the x and y direction. I know that I say F net in the y direction is the tension minus m2g, and that's going to be the acceleration, mass times acceleration. So it's m2 times a, because it's accelerating up, box. I like to put box around important equations. Now for the second mass, I want to put it right here. So here I have m1g and the tension. And you notice that in order for this to accelerate down, the tension has to be less than that. I should have drawn that the same length, but I didn't want to run out of room. So that's that mass right there. That's m1g. Okay, m1. So let's write Newton's second law for that equation. I'll put it right here. F net y is going to be equal to t minus m1g equals negative m1a, because this one's accelerating down. And so, of course, we should put a box around that. Now, when you get to a situation like this, you should see that we have two things that we don't know. I want to find the acceleration, but I don't know the tension. Well, down here I want to find the acceleration, but I don't know the tension. And so we have two equations to a known problem. How do we solve that? Well, there's a bunch of different ways, right? I could solve this for t and substitute it down there. But I should also see that I have a t, and if I don't care about the tension, which I'm not going to solve for the tension here, I could just subtract this equation from that equation, right? You can do that. I'm going to take this side, subtract that side, take this side, subtract that side. You can do that. That's allowed. So if I take this minus that, I get t minus t, which is 0. Then I have negative m2g minus negative m1g, so plus m1g. And then I have m2a minus the negative plus m1a. You see how cheating works? Okay, so now I can factor out the a, and I get a, I'm going to flip to the other side, m1 plus m2 equals g times m1 minus m2, and then divide. And I'm going to put it over here because we're going to use it later. A equals m1 minus m2 g over m1 plus m2. And that deserves a box. Let's do a purple box. Okay, so that's my acceleration for no mass pulley. And we can think about it in an easier way too, right? So this is my system consisting of both of the blocks. What force accelerates it? Well, it's the net. This is kind of silly, but it works. The net gravitational force, right? So I have this one pulling down. So if I take the difference in masses, that's like the net gravitational force, which is silly to say. But then both of them have to accelerate. So I get m1 plus m2 for the acceleration. So there's my net gravitational force divided by the total mass. Okay, now let's do the real work. So now we don't have a massless pulley. what's going to change? Well, the pulley itself is going to have to accelerate, and that tension is going to accelerate the pulley. So you can see, let's just think about that pulley first. If I have my pulley right here, and then I have a tension on this side pulling down and a tension on this side pulling down, if those are equal and opposite tensions, then the net force on the pulley would be 0, or the net torque would be 0, and it wouldn't accelerate. So what we get actually is non-equal tensions. So we'll call this T2, and we'll call that T1. No, I'm going to call that T2, because that goes with mass 2. So the tension is no longer the same. And how does that work? Well, there's some friction between the string and the pulley, and that friction exerts a torque. So we can have that one massless string with different tensions on the two sides. So here the tension is not the same on both sides of the pulley, so the tension is not the same on the two masses. But let's finish our pulley right here. We actually do have some other forces acting on it. I have a normal force pushing up from the pin right there. I have a gravitational force pulling down right there. And I didn't draw that to scale, but clearly the pulley stays where it's at. So the net forces on the pulley is 0, and the acceleration is 0. Boring. But the pulley does rotate. So we can use our torque equation. The net torque about a point O is the moment of inertia times the angular acceleration. Now, the normal force does not exert a torque on the disk, right? Because torque is Fr sine theta. That's the force applied. That's the distance from the force to where it is applied to where the point rotates. And you can see here that's 0. And the same thing for gravity. So both of those two exert 0 torque on the wheel. Now these two do exert a torque. Okay. So the net torque, I'll put it over here, is going to be equal to torque 1 times its radius, which is r, and they're at a 90-degree angle. Sine of 90 is 1. This is going to be a negative torque because we use the right-hand rule. If it's pointing into the board, your thumb points in the direction into the board for the right hand, then that's negative. It doesn't really matter, but that's just what it is. So I have negative T1 R. That's that torque. And then this one's going to be a positive torque, right? Because it wants to rotate this way. And it's going to be plus T2R. So that's the net torque. Now we need to get the moment of inertia. So the moment of inertia of a disk is 1/2 mr squared. And then we have the angular acceleration alpha. So if we put that all together, we get, I'm gonna run out of room, so I'm gonna put it up here. I get, and it's gonna accelerate in the negative direction too. So negative T1R plus T2R equals 1/2 mr squared negative alpha. Box. So that's our torque angular acceleration equation. And we need that because we're going to have 3 variables, right? You're going to see that we have 3 variables, so we're going to need 3 equations. Let's go ahead and write down the equation for mass 2. So for mass 2, the force diagram looks the same. I have M2, G pulling down, and then I have T2 pulling up. So F net in the y direction is going to be T2 minus M2G is still going to accelerate up. So that's still M2A box. And then if I do the same thing for the other mass, I'll put it right here. I have M1G T1, right? Different tension. So F net Y is going to be T1 minus M1G equals negative M1A. What color have I not used? Purple? No. Blue? Green? No, green. Okay, so now I do indeed have 3 things I don't know. Don't know T1, don't know T2. Oh, I actually have 4. I don't know alpha, but I'm gonna fix that in just a second. I don't know T2, I don't know A, I don't know A, I don't know T1. So in order to get this into 3 unknowns, I need to get rid of alpha. But if these are accelerating and the string does not slip on the disk, then we have the following relationship. Alpha has to be equal to A over R. That's our relationship between angular acceleration and linear acceleration, right? So if I put that in up here, A over R, now I have 3 equations, 3 unknowns. How do you solve 3 equations, 3 unknowns? We just got to start substituting stuff in. So what I'm going to do, solve this for T2, solve that for T1, put them both up here, because that has both T1 and T2. Okay, so that's pretty easy. I'm going to write it over here. T2 is M2A plus M2G. Just add that to the other side. T1 is going to be equal to M1G minus M1A. Now, I'll tell you, I've solved problems like this before, and I have the tendency, oh, I can factor out the M1, and don't do that, because we're going to try to solve for A. We don't want A inside of a parentheses. Okay, I'm just letting you know. If you do it, it's okay. You can undo it. So now I have T1, T2. I can substitute in up here. So negative T1. So T1 is that. So I'm going to put negative M1G minus M1A. I got the negative right there. And then I have, oh, R. Actually, I'm going to divide this by R and divide this by R. So this cancels, and I get R squared, so all the R's cancel. Just makes it a little less messy to see that. You can leave it in there if you wanted to. Plus T2, so then I have plus M2A plus M2G, and then that's going to be equal to the negatives canceled. So I have 1/2, that's M3, M3A. And I want to solve for A. So I'm trying to think here. Yeah, let's just move the G stuff to the other side and subtract this from both sides. So this is going to be, I'm going to move that to the other side. I get negative M1A plus M2A, and then move this to the other side, minus M3 over 2A equals, that moves to the other side, M1G, and then minus M2G. Here I can factor out the A, M1 plus M2 minus M3 over 2 equals G, M1 minus M2. And then I'm going to solve for A. I'm running out of room here really bad. I'm going to erase. And I dropped my chalk. Okay, I got it. So that we got all those equations already. I think I can erase this stuff. So I'm going to divide both sides by that. I get A equals G M1 minus M2 over M1 plus M2 minus M3 over 2. And M3 is the mass of the disk. And that's that. It needs a box. That's not a very good box. That's better. Okay. Now, is it right? Well, here's what we can do. What if the mass of the pulley was 0? What if we had a massless pulley? If we had a massless pulley, then that term goes away, and I have G M1 minus M2 over M1 plus M2. Oh my goodness, look over here. Identical. So that's good. Also, the more massive that is, the lower the acceleration. That makes sense. Then we could go back and we could calculate the tension for the two things using our tension equations, which I already erased. But you can go backwards in time in this video and go plug that in. I'm not going to do that. I do want to point out something else, and I did this in the previous video. I'm not going to go through the whole solution. You can also solve this problem with the work energy principle, because if I say I have the system of the disk, mass 1, mass 2 in the Earth, then as I let go, this is going to go down some distance s. Oh, I did break that. And this is going to go up some distance s, and this is going to rotate some angle theta, which you don't even care about. But this is going to have some rotational kinetic energy, and these will have translational kinetic energies. And there's no work done on the system if we have a change in gravitational potential. So you're going to get work equals 0. It's a change in translational kinetic energy for 2, plus a change in translational kinetic energy for 1, plus a change in rotational kinetic energy for the disk, plus a change in gravitational potential. So it will have an S in there, and you can solve for the final velocity. Then you can use, you can convert omega is v over r and get it all in terms of the final velocity. And then you can say v squared equals v0 squared plus 2as. That was our kinematic equation. And then the s cancels and you can solve that for acceleration. Not going to do it, but you could do that. Or if the problem was, hey, just how fast is it moving after it drops a meter? Well, in that case, you could just use a work energy principle, or you could do this and find the acceleration. More than one way to solve that problem. Boom.